Hello, beautiful beloveds. I wanted to hop on and just share a brief transmission with you before I delve into client immersions for the day. So I just wanted to get up close and personal and intimate and speak into the power of one, being the sole God, source, self creator of our reality, and the tremendous peace, joy, deep seated, rich bliss that is accessible to us, and also ultimate power and emancipation inside of our reality from this point of deep gnosis of who and what we truly are as divine source. And so, the nexus point of our creation is literally the nucleus of our being, what we have going on internally. And that state of frequency, of thought, of psychosomatic alignment, awareness, embodiment, fractalizes out from the core of our being. This is what true 0 point is, into the rest of our creation, meaning that all of the beautiful sacred characters in our play, our friends, our family, our beloveds, our life circumstances, our health, our flourishing, our finances, our creations, all emanate from and are an extension of who we be. So that gives us the phenomenal power to create immediate, instantaneous, and simultaneous shifts in our entire reality and hologram instantaneously. So when we shift states, so imagining that we are in a space of, deep, we'll just call it dissonance, because at the core of all of this, we're either experiencing some degree of dissonance in our being, or we're experiencing ultimate harmony and accord, which is what creates synchronicity, serendipity, miracles, alignments in our reality that we truly desire to be experiencing. So in a moment when we may be experiencing some level of discord, when we make the super conscious choice to shift into deep harmony, remembering and knowing ourselves as the source, and having established intimacy with what that intelligence is: peace, superabundance, beauty, perfection, all enveloping divine love. And love is the resonance of harmony with the self and with the all, with all aspects of beingness, of nature, of our environment, of our world. And so when we make that shift from dissonance into harmony, into deep peace, our entire reality and world shifts to reflect and mirror that back to us. So when we are feeling peace, suddenly everyone in our world is experiencing peace. When we're experiencing states of deep ecstasy and bliss and joy and gratitude and fulfillment, then everything in our outer reality reorients and reorchestrates itself to reflect those internal changes immediately and simultaneously. So we are the nexus point of pure power in our creation. And so then this also brings revelation or insight, awareness that we are the only one in our reality. We are the only one creating. And we begin to powerfully actualize and create and have all that we desire to be experiencing at all levels of beingness when we shift into accord with our divine supernature. So the primary aspect in this, and it does require cultivation. It's reflecting on and contemplating and integrating to the truth of our divine nature and who we are as infinite source. So establishing intimacy with that intelligence and beginning to see ourselves and see life through the lens of source, of the divine. And then ultimately we come to know ourselves as that, because everything in existence is a manifestation of the one infinite God self-creator. And we are that, emanating through human form, expressing through human form. So there's an extraordinary level of emancipation here, because we don't have to go outside of ourselves to create profound shift, change, transformation, manifestation in our world. It's all about what we are selecting and choosing to align with internally. In that internal state of beingness, of frequency, of awareness, what we're placing the spotlight of our attention on. And people, we often refer to this as thoughts, but I want to bring an expanded frame to this, or a possibility. It's really a psychic, visionary, imaginal energy that we're accessing. And what we place the spotlight of our attention on, what we focus on, we energize, supercharge, animate, augment, and literally breathe life into in our reality, in our creative landscape. And what we shift and what we pivot our focus away from, we immediately begin to discharge. We begin to deactivate the energy from that narrative, that story, that belief pattern, that frequency. And this is how rapidly we can create quantum shift and change in our world. Because it's really, and sometimes those patterns have a strong pull because we've created a groove in that direction. It's a habit. And so the mastery is in creating new habits, learning to focalize, one, what we are extraordinarily thankful and grateful for here and now, and two, starting to give massive thanks for the reality and the narrative that we are weaving as it is already so here and now. So one of the ways that I love to do this, and this supercharges my energy and it quantum crystallizes things in my reality, and it's so simple, is I crystal clarity. I write a list of exactly what I am expanding into, evolving into, what my next expanded level of optimized thrival in living and experience is. And so crystal clarity of desire. What do I desire in my heart and in my soul to live and thrive into and experience next in my reality? And then with that, I meditate on that. I envision that. I bring all of the qualities and characteristics of that experience to life. And I feel it in my heart, in my soul, in my solar plexus, in my yoni. And I build the prana and the chi around that creation. And I saturate and submerge in the field of havingness as though I am dropped into that reality, bringing to life all of the scents, the colors, the sounds, the musicality of that vision, the sensory somatic feeling and sensation of who I be and what it feels like to be in that reality. And I begin to deeply, richly embody it. And by virtue of quantum physics, it then must manifest and reflect itself in my outer world, because my outer world is an extension of who I be. And so that crystal clarity of vision and desire, and then I just start to give massive thanks. I am so thankful and grateful now that I have. I am so thankful and grateful now that I am. And I fill in that blank with everything that I am calling forth. And that's how we paint the tapestry or the canvas of our lives. We have these profoundly powerful intertechnologies that we have access to weave our creative landscape, our reality, our world. And, there's no limitation to that. It's infinite possibilities. If it drops into your awareness, your consciousness, or your visionary space, or it arises in your heart, that desire is for you. It is a possibility because it is coming forth. It is arising within you. And if it hasn't been created yet, this is about being pioneering and trailblazing your Eden, your paradise, your experience of what it is to live and thrive in this gorgeous dimensional reality, because we have opted into these sacred human bodies to experience the novelties and the grandeur and the beauty and the splendor of life, of nature, of what it is to be in this physicalized expression of reality, although physicality is very malleable. And at the quantum level, if we take a microscope to anything physical, we just see atoms and photons and protons and neutrons and electrons and ions and all of this, and quarks, and just beyond. We're still discovering all of what is, what energy is at these micro atomic levels. But it's all very fluid and malleable. And again, this is what gives us the power to change physical reality instantaneously by shifting what we have going on within us. And that creates, it's like when we shift here, our whole reality updates immediately to match us. So then it's about being clear on what it is that we are desiring to embody and emanate and experience, getting into the rich embodiment of what that is here and now, giving thanks for all of these creations as if they are already so, which quantum collapses those visions, those desires, the what we are really calling forth in our heart to experience. It quantum collapses it into the present moment, and and then engaging the dance of life in our joy from moment to moment. And I'm going to preface this with our holistic joy, because sometimes what we think might give us pleasure is a temporary satisfaction, but what we're looking for, it is what is long-term, satiating, rewarding, enriching, and nourishing for our soul and our sense of well-being and our purity and our innocence and our true capacity to thrive at all levels in our reality. And so, the great example of this, and then I gotta hop off because I have to shift into calls. A great example of this is if you've woken up in the same home or you've been engaging in the same relationship, and one day, you wake up in that home and it's pure paradise and you love everything and you're noticing subtle intricacies and nuances of the environment or of nature or of the atmosphere that you potentially didn't realize before, because you're in an expanded state of consciousness, of frequency, of awareness, of embodiment. So all of the things that were already there become visible to you, and you experience them through that lens. And there might be another day that you wake up and you're feeling some discord or dissonance in your being, and you want to move, you want to get out of that space, you don't want to be in it anymore. But the same thing with a relationship where we experience different facets of the beings in our world, and we also experience different facets of our own self through this as well. But what changed? The outside didn't change, the environment didn't change, we changed. Our lens and our field of perception changed, our frequency shifted, and it shifted how we experienced life and what we were capable of seeing in those moments. And so this is really, opening into the perception and the lens of the infinite self and infinite possibility, because in any given moment, there's infinite earths, infinite realities, infinite timelines, infinite expressions of reality that we can actually be experiencing. And the reality that we experience is contingent upon our own frequency, our own inner state, and what we have chosen to cultivate with our attention, our awareness, and in our imaginal spaces, our vision. And so to keep it quite simple and immaculate and pristine, it's focusing on what is true, what is the ultimate, unchanging, omnipotent, omniverse, the truth, the quintessential nature of reality itself, that is eternal, that is unwavering, that is indomitable, that is invincible, that is solid. And that is the truth of our divinity, our supernature, of source intelligence, of, everything that exists is a manifestation of prosperity, abundance, beauty, love. And so it's aligning our perceptions and our internal knowingness with that ultimate truth, until that is all that exists within us. And as we go through that process, we will, cleanse and purify all of our subjective perceptions that are not in absolute resonance, in alignment with that deep knowing of who and what we are. And so this is when we become fully illuminated in light in me. In light in me, we become filled with the light and the truth that we are, and all of the other patterns, programs, narrative stories, things that we have brought through our genetic lineage, our DNA, through cultural, societal programming, conditioning, and also patterns and programs and narratives that we have perpetuated and energized in our own internal space. We get to just love those aspects, bless them, release them, and continue to fill with the light that we are. And the most glorious thing is, it's already here. It already exists in its perfect, whole, complete, actualized state. We already are that. So really it comes to acceptance, accepting the truth of who and what we are, and submerging in that space, And in the light, everything else will naturally dissolve and transmute back into itself. So it's the ultimate alchemy to reflect upon and contemplate the truth of our infinite nature, the truth of the self, the truth of all that is and all that exists, until that becomes all that remains within our being. And as we go through that process, our whole reality optimizes with us constantly. And, that's when we talk about up-leveling or expanding or all of that, that's really what's happening. We're purifying and releasing through the embodiment of our light in the acceptance of our perfect wholeness as infinite source divine creator. We are transmuting all of the narratives that are based in subjective perceptions versus, the ultimate truth of our beingness, which I would consider to be the objective observer of reality. And then, it's just a playground of infinite potential and possibility. We get to thrive as we call it our higher self. I see it as our expanded self, our united self, our divine self, the truth of who we all be. And then it's just the glorious dance of being in love with ourselves and our reality and our creation and all that is. And there's so many glorious dimensions and facets of this that we can delve deeply into, because from that point of embodiment, all of these new psychic capacities and creative technologies come on board inside of us, and we can start to play with how do we quantum crystallize things in our reality, how do we super attract what it is that we're desiring, because there's only one rule, and it's, the law of love. It's the law of harmony with the self and the all. And once that is mastered and known within our beingness, there's all these different ways that we can create, because there's no rules. We are the ones who are architecting and deciding how we want our desires to come into beingness. We get to choose. Well, I want to go out and create and create and create and share and shine and express, or I want to lean back on the throne of my destiny and I want to allow my creation to support me for a bit. And because there are cycles of life, and sometimes we're in the harvest and sometimes we're in the deep receptivity, just like nature, there may be some, but likely, most aspects of nature, so trees and plants and fruits and vegetables aren't always in a perpetual state of harvest. There's moments and cycles and seasons where they are receiving, there's a winter, they're receiving in a spring, rain to saturate their soil so that they can grow rich and fertile and strong and bloom to give birth to that vibrancy, that harvest. So really honoring our cycles also, and really attuning to our truth of what is being asked of me in this moment. What do I deeply, truly desire and require in this moment, and being willing to give that to ourselves and trusting our rhythms and our flow and our cycles of life, and knowing that that's, a perpetual growth cycle and expansion. And the most important, valuable piece is that we stay in harmony and resonance and accord with what is our truth in the moment, because that's what's going to allow us to give birth to our most authentic, aligned, fulfilling, enriching creation. So much here, so much more to explore. I love you all. I just wanted to tune into that and share that transmission with you all here today, and just sending enormous love to your hearts that you be, that you are, and that you receive the phenomenal blessings and love and support that is available to you in all moments. I'm going to shift into client immersions now, and I will be connecting with you all again very soon. I love you so, so much, infinitely, deeply, richly, and profoundly. Enjoy the rest of your day, sacred beloveds. Mwah.